for another video. I'm Melissa Muir. Today's video I want to show really quickly how I use an adjustable ingot mold from PepeTools. There's only a few of them left and several of my customers have bought one, and so they were asking questions on how to use them. Figured I'd do a really quick video, show you what it is that I do once I get an ingot mold, how I prepare it, and then how I use it to cast. So what I have here is I've got the ingot mold that I'm going to be using. It's an adjustable weight. It's 250 penny weights is what that weight is for casting. So you would measure out your casting grain or your silver or whatever else, and that's what you would expect to be able to cast with. Now, this is an adjustable mold. This one just barely came out of the wrapper, so it's kind of stinky, has a little bit of the oil on it that keeps it from rusting. So what I want to do is I want to just kind of open this up. I have a paper towel and I just wipe everything down, get kind of that gooey residue off of there. That residue you're going to find on a lot of tools that you order because they don't want them rusting before they get to you. And so after this, it will be your job to make sure that you take care of everything and properly maintain it. So I'm just going to wipe everything off. You can see some of that grease that's coming off in there. And it really is stinky. But that stink will kind of go away as you use this more and more. All right. Now, once you have everything wiped down, you're pretty much ready to get everything prepared. Now, everybody does things a different way, so you may do yours a little differently. This is just something that works well for me. So what I want to do very first is I want to oil my mold. And I'm just going to use kind of a basic 3-in-1 type of an oil. And I want to put the oil in here, rub it around a little bit, and that's going to help so that my metal, my silver, my gold, or whatever it is that I'm using is not going to stick to this. Okay, I want to oil it very, very well. Now, the thing that's kind of nice about these adjustable molds, you make sure you get the spout in here so that it will pour in well. The thing that's kind of nice about these, and this is why they call it adjustable. So we have this opening here, but what I can do is I can make that smaller just by changing how I have everything laid out as far as that goes. So let's say that I want to make a strip of metal that's only about 1 inch wide. So you can see I changed the overlap on that, and now my mold is just a little bit better for that size. Just to show you how I'm going to do this, we now have the handle on here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this little screw here, the gnarled nut, and tighten that up, and now everything is going to hold its position and we're ready to go. It's very, very, very extremely important that you make sure that this mold is hot when you go to pour your metal in it. Never ever pour metal into a cold mold because it won't, and it will spray out and you're going to have hot metal flying everywhere. So make sure you use the right precautions when doing this. So in my case, I have a 12-inch annealing pan that I'm going to do this in. Now another thing that I have here is this is my little crucible. I've got a little ceramic crucible that I do a lot of silver casting in. You'll see I have a casting that I'm going to go ahead and melt down. Also going to add a little bit more to this. This is also a lot more than that 250 penny weight, so I won't be able to pour all of it into this mold, especially where I've decreased the size of the mold itself. So keep that in mind. This is another little handy tool. This is sold by Craig Dabler, and what you do is you place your crucible in here, and it's a fire brick that's been kind of hollowed out and drilled out so that you can place these crucibles in here. What it does is it helps you maintain that heat in your crucible so that it gets up to temperature much faster, and it holds it. It helps insulate that heat so that once you get there, you can quickly do your casting. So let's see how this all goes now. The torch that I'm going to use is a MAP gas torch. It's very simple. This could also be done with something like an acetylene oxygen torch, propane oxygen, anything that's going to be hot enough to melt your metal. So I use a Bernzomatic torch. on this one using MAP gas. This is the TS8000. One of the things that I have found that is imperative is it must have a hose. If you don't, then what's going to happen is as you are tilting that tank of MAP gas upside down to, get your torch tip in the right place, it's going to cool down. So that is something. And I just picked these up at Lowe's. However, I know that not all Lowe's has them. So Lowe's, Home Depot, some of them have them, some of them don't. It's just kind of a hit and miss type of a thing. So one of the things that you can do is you can take old silver and you can melt it down and cast it. So this is a great way to use up your scrap. And then once you have all of that, then you can take that, roll it down in your rolling mill, forge it down, do whatever you want to do after that point. Now I find also that it works really, really well when you use only clean scrap. Some people say that they've used dirty scrap, stuff that has like solder on it and things like that. However, you can end up leaving black spots, or some of the different metals might interact and you burn holes through your metal and it leaves undesirable effects. So just kind of be aware of what you're putting into there. So in this case, all of these are clean scrap. They've never had even a torch hit them, so no solder is on them. I don't have to worry about any of that at all. And you want to just kind of fill that crucible up, or if you have a certain amount that you want, I would say weigh that out first and then bring it in and put it into your little crucible. So in this case, I've just gone through my little scrap bin, pulled out a few different pieces, and we are just about ready to go. I'll go ahead and call that good for now. And if I need to, I'll add a little bit more. Another thing that is really handy to have is a boric acid, okay? And that's going to help everything melt nice and evenly in order for you to pour this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to warm up this ingot mold. Now when you go to pour this in, you want to make certain, and you saw that I kind of heated up my silver and then I'd heat back up on this ingot mold. When you pour this in, you want to pour it in fairly quick, but not too quick. So it's not like when we were doing sand casting that you do a quick dump. This one you do need to have a little bit of control, especially since the mouth of your piece is so narrow that you need to kind of take your time to get it in there properly. Now, I did have a little bit that spilled out, so not a huge deal. It's not going to stick too bad, but I also don't want to touch this right now because it's extremely hot. So make sure you have the proper tools handy so that you can get to pieces without hurting yourself. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I have a pair of gloves that I use with my sand casting, and I like to use these because they protect my hands. And to open this up, what I'm going to do is loosen up this little nut here. Put that on a surface that's not going to get damaged if it gets too hot. And I'm going to open up my mold. And you can see there is my ingot. Again, be very, very cautious. All of this is extremely hot. We actually have a beautiful ingot that turned out on this. I'm going to go ahead and quench this now that it's no longer red. I'm not too worried about it being too hot and having a thermal shock. So I'll go ahead and throw that into the quench, let that cool down for just a second. And now I have my beautiful ingot ready to roll this through the rolling mill or forge it down, however you need to do that. And there you go. That's how you use the ingot mold. Let this sit for a little while, let it all cool down completely, and you're ready to begin again. I would suggest that each time before you do another casting, go ahead and rub this down with some more oil. There are other ways to do this. If I use an acetylene torch, I'll soot it up really well with the acetylene before I kick on any of the oxygen. But there you have it. I hope that helps, and let me know if you guys have any other questions.